The countdown clock. Good morning, Peter.
Say again?
Good morning, Peter.
Good morning.
Good morning, John.
Good morning, Stephen and Peter.
Very good. Right. Okay. We're just getting ready. We're live today on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, and Facebook. And we'll be with you as soon as the countdown clock is finished. We're just waiting for everywhere to connect and all will be good. And we're back to the three of us this week, which will be better. Well, it's more fun when there are three. Okay, and we say hello to everybody on Royston Radio who's listening to us on Saturday morning at 11 o'clock. And the clock is nearly finished counting down, so we're going to appear on screen in about 7 seconds. Peter's just taking a last sip of coffee.
I'm having more.
We're here. Right, okay, let's sort the screen out. Okay, we're good. And I'm going to take that clock off, John. It's covering your face up just a second. Okay, done that. So, this is Blabbing for Britain, episode 391, UK News Review. And good morning, Peter.
Morning.
Morning, John.
Good morning.
All right, how are we today?
I would say I'm relaxed today.
Good.
So what I would like to do first of all is just explain to everybody. I know I've been missing for a couple of weeks, and I know people have been concerned that I'm not here and missing me. Couple of reasons for that. I've got my own business and I'm very, very, very busy. I've had my record September ever in business. Now, I did try to come on one day and I couldn't get on because I forgot I lead to a laptop, but it's not good in a van. So to show you how dedicated I am to this meeting, let me tell you, I went out and I bought an iPhone 8 for about 150 quid because BeLife doesn't have an app. And I set up this morning, I charged it, I put on the app and I had to go jump through hoops because I don't use iPhones. I forgot my ID and all that stuff. On Facebook and I had to download the BeLife app. So I'm here on the app. And then future, if I'm out working in my van and I've got the time to come on, right, I'll be there. So all you people who are worried that I might not be here anymore, never fear. Peter's here. So,
You told me it was a pigeon that stopped you coming on last week. You told me it was pigeons that stopped you coming on last week.
Oh, last week, let me tell you, a man is 63-year-old. I climbed 5 flights of stairs full of bags of pigeon muck, washing machines, and I've got to tell you, my own worker that was with me, he was absolutely shocked that I was so fit. And he says, Peter, I've got to tell you, he says, I never thought you would keep up with me. And I says, never underestimate me. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave this platform and I'm going to come back on my desktop. I was just checking it out. One, how's the sound?
Sound is good. Pitch is brilliant.
Yeah.
Right. So that's me all set up for being in traveling mode in the future. Okay? See when I come back. Don't talk about me when I'm gone. I'll be back. Cheerio. Hold on.
All right. So
use an iPhone. How would I turn this thing off? All right, wait a minute.
Just I don't know. I don't have an iPhone.
Right, let's go.
Okay. No, he's well. I'm going to.
What do I do? Right. I've forgotten how to do it.
Quit. Right. Leave. Go.
Where's the leave bit? I can't find it.
Hold
on. Wait a minute.
Just close the window.
Well, let's right. Know the 3 lines at the top right.
Yeah.
I can't get it's not nothing here. It says you are live. How the heck do I get out of here? The screen's not all that good for me. It's got you are live. It's got I'm in the middle. You two are either side.
Yeah.
And then it's got host. And I can't leave. Hold on. Hide show access, private web settings, hide toolbar. It's not giving me the option to leave, guys.
Yeah, I mean, I always, yeah.
But I'll tell you what, I won't speak. You just keep yapping.
I can switch you off, Peter, and that should stop it.
I kick them off.
Okay.
I'm used to it.
Done. Okay, there's always more than one way to skin a cat. All right, okay. So we've sorted all that. I'm just going to sort the screen out. Peter will be back in a moment. Right, okay. Can we talk?
You should go to the app switcher, find the app, and swipe the app up.
Oh, just yeah. I mean, that's the way the iPad works. When you want rid of an app, just send it into oblivion. Okay. Yeah, I mean, the Android is much more friendly than well, I suppose once you're used to a phone, be it iPhone or Android, once you're used to it, it all becomes naturally. But if you're totally new, then they do work differently, and your Android skills honed over the years won't work on an iPhone, as Peter just discovered. Morning, Peter.
Hi.
Right.
How?
Have you managed to?
You know, I've completely forgotten how to use an iPhone. You know?
Yeah.
And even this little phone is the opposite way from the other phone. You know, the up and down buttons and whatever, you know.
Yeah.
But it's a handy little phone, about 150 quid.
Good.
And so that's, see how dedicated I am to you being live.
I totally appreciate this. But is that phone connected via 4G?
Wait a minute. I don't know. I've turned it off. I can't.
Oh, right. Okay.
It's an iPhone 8, if you want to look it up. But they're selling quite good. And I've only bought it really for this program.
So what you can do, Peter, is you can get your high quality phone out in your van, set up a hotspot on that phone, and then connect to the wireless network using your iPhone 8.
Mm-hmm. And that's what I intend to do. So I'm all set up, not all shook up. Right? And that's me set. Now, isn't that dedication?
It is. Total.
But listen, folks, when you're self-employed, your family and your food has got to come first.
Oh, I totally agree. Yeah, and now everything's explained. Right, okay. I saw an headline earlier this week, and I saved it because it shocked me. So I'm going to bring it on screen now. And we're going to go like this. And hopefully like this. And I'm going to scroll up so you can actually see it. And it says, staggering green growth gives hope for 1.5 degrees, says global energy chief. Now, I've got to say, he's the person actually saying this is it's the global energy chief. And he said this week that we could be on target to get below 1.5 degrees by 2050. And for years now, we've been told that it's not going to happen because we're not doing enough. And just to read a couple of quotes from it, which sort of makes sense. Okay. Despite the scale of challenges, I feel more optimistic than I felt 2 years ago. Solar photovoltaic installations and electric vehicle sales are perfectly in line with what they should be, to be on track to reach net zero by 2050 and thus stay within 1.5 degrees. Clean energy investments in the last 2 years have seen a staggering 40% increase. It's Fatih Birol is the name. So after everything we've heard and all the exhortations to save energy, it looks like we're heading the right way today when that was written. I'm not saying it's true today, but it was true on Tuesday.
I'm a bit fed up with all those green things and stuff like that. They're just not ready for it. If everybody was to go out and buy an EV car tomorrow, there's not enough capacity to charge up. There's people having road rage already at filling stations.
Mm-hmm.
One guy, his car broke down, right, in the filling station. And what he done? He stood in front of the charger and wouldn't let him be in until he got help pushing his car over. That's just stupid things that's happening. And it's all backfiring. And it's backfiring in Scotland big time. Because they've now realised the SNP at the moment, folks, are just ripping each other apart. There's a guy called Fergus Ewan, a long-time party member. He's just been suspended for a week, right?
Yeah.
And it was 48 voted for him suspended, 9 voted against him getting suspended, and 4 abstained, right? Now, guess who wasn't there for the vote?
The leader of the party.
The leader wasn't there. He always, when there's something like this, he always has a prior engagement.
Right.
Nicola Sturgeon didn't vote. She couldn't make it either. But all their underlings made it. And it has ripped the party apart. Because Fergus Ewan is a long-standing man, and he says, my constituents come before the party line. And he says, he basically said the Greens, because it's the only way they could get in government, the Greens are basically got too much control within the party.
Oh.
Okay?
Yeah.
They needed the Greens to get in, you see.
Yeah. Okay.
And they done. Do you know did you know about our bottling scheme like we've got in Germany?
I know I've used it. Yeah.
Right. In Scotland, they said to the companies, it's getting introduced. The companies went out and spent thousands.
Yeah.
You think that it was either cancelled or postponed? Everybody in the company that involved with it got paid off, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, like Coca-Cola, all the big companies, the co-ops, everybody, guess what compensation they're getting after spending millions?
Nothing.
Absolutely nothing. It's a damn disgrace. It really is. Yeah. And it was all because the Greens got in and basically they held them to ransom. If you do this, we'll give you this. If you do that, we'll give you this. Never, folks, have a coalition party. Just like the Liberals. The Liberals said to the students, you won't have to pay for your fees. As soon as they got in, the book was shutting it. Gone.
Yes. The problem is we've got long memories, and all that happened 11 years ago, and it's still hanging around Lib Dem necks.
Correct.
That when in government, they didn't do what they said they would do, even though they didn't have power to do it. I mean, the bottle return scheme, it's a good one. I mean, basically, you buy as you would normally, and then you get cash back when you return the bottle.
That's right. I think it was 20 pence. I was going to set up a business knocking at people's doors saying, I'll give you 5 pence for your bottles.
Yeah.
And then go and take it. And some kid could have done that. If a kid came to my door, Sheila would say, here's my bottles free. Take them out. I'd do that, you know. But that's what's happened. It's been a complete. Oh, cut me off, please. Somebody's phone.
So, people's microphone is now muted. Yeah, have you heard of the scheme, John?
I did. Didn't get implemented, did it? So yeah, I can remember taking me Corona bottles and things back to get me. It wasn't 5p, it was D in those days.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, as a kid, and finding one on the street and thinking we were rich. We found some bottles to take back, but yeah, I'm not convinced that it would have had the effect that they were seeking, which is really in Scotland to cut drinking down.
Indeed. Right. Okay. Shall we talk football while Peter is?
No, we're not talking about last night's football at all.
Why not?
Because Everton beat the bloody Villa, didn't they?
Well, yeah. I mean, come on, Sean Dyke. It's going to be absolutely brilliant because in the next round, guess what happens?
Oh, are they playing Burnley?
Yeah. In the next round, Burnley are away. Burnley are playing Everton. So Sean Dyke returns, and that is going to be interesting. Basically, I want Burnley to win. I want Burnley to win every time.
So
it's interesting.
The Villa players were bogged down by these shirts.
All right. Yeah.
Have you not seen this? The shirts apparently absorb sweat rather than throwing it through, and by the end of the match, their shirts are so heavy that. And this is a serious statement here. This is not a taking the mickey. Their shirts have a real problem.
I just seen someone on the internet, football, one of my pest control companies, I think they're sponsored Burley.
Brilliant.
Pesto Kill, it's called.
There you go.
It's either that.
Yeah. Well, then basically, I mean, Burnley played the night before Villa played, and this is incredible. Burnley put out a team, and the 11 players were different from 11 players who played at the weekend. So it's like having a reserve Premiership team, and because obviously they went on to win 4-0 with 4 new scorers on the team sheet. So it's coming together slowly, like Everton's season. It's coming together slowly. Yeah, I mean, Villa got off to a good start. Yes.
Yeah, they did all right. I mean, then they lost 1 or 2, and then they're back to good again. I think they should concentrate on winning the league, the Premier Division, which won't happen. But that's where they should concentrate their efforts, really.
No. And Newcastle dumping Man City. But
Newcastle had a terrible start to the year, but now they seem to have switched the engines on.
Yeah. So it's all very interesting. Cricket's finished, of course, for the moment. But the final match, they were doing so well. They had a record score. Was going to be made, and tons were made, and then this heavens opened, and they got flooded. It rained so much that the match was called off instantly. There was no way of the ground actually recovering. Mind you, we are nearly in October, so the weather is changeable, and we've got a storm on the way, haven't we? Angry Agnes.
I think she arrived yesterday.
Yeah, down in Cornwall.
No, wind was blowing incredibly here in the Midlands.
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah. Of course, we're in the Golden Triangle in Wiltshire, and we don't see much of anything. We get this news that it's going to be windy, and it very rarely is, and it's going to be rainy, and it doesn't rain. Mind you, I went out on Tuesday for my 8 o'clock walk, jog, and it was pelting down. I was going to say something else then, Peter, but it was pelting down, and I just carried on. Just got wet. Incredibly, I can actually walk faster in the rain than I do in the dry.
That's because I went home.
Yeah.
Is that football focus over? Hey, can I tell you something about football?
Surely.
The BBC changed the reporters. I think is it football focus or match of the day or something like that. They changed it to a lady from a man, right? And their figures have reduced dramatically. So much so it's dangerous shutting down. I don't watch these things. It's just things like that I pick up in the internet. You know?
Of course, I mean, we live in a world where there are more and more women commentators who've been gratefully accepted. And you take the sport and it's becoming more and more equal, John.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's just a figure I'll let you know about.
Right. Now, when I got wet on Tuesday, I was actually walking around the park run circuit, which is the Quakers Walk park run. And as I said, they called it Quakers Walk rather than Devisers because it's then the letter Q. And those people who are doing an A to Z of park runs can find another Q because there aren't many about. So the first race was private because they don't want anybody at the first race. They want to iron things out. And the second race, they had 350 people there. And the race last weekend, they had 250. So it's attracting visitors from all around. And the benefit to Devisers is that all these people have got to drive into Devisers because we've no train and the buses don't meet up. So we're getting extra business from this. The town is benefiting, the cafes and the restaurants and the shops. After everybody's finished their race, they don't go off home, they're going to town.
That's good.
But the course itself is a tree-lined lane, which is about 700 meters long. And then you turn right, and you turn right in front of a housing estate.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and you're going past, at 9 o'clock in the morning, you're going past 50 houses. And you do that 3 times because you're going around a loop. And first couple of times when they went round, people came out of the houses and applauded, which was great to happen. But apparently there's some concern about voices now, because if you get 350 people running past your front door at 9 o'clock in the morning, it's not going to please everybody.
No.
So we'll have to wait and see what happens on
that. I don't think I would like that parkrun. Tell you why. It's demoralizing when you go around the first circuit and then you go around the second circuit and you know you've got another circuit to go.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I would prefer a starting point, ending point with no going over places that you know.
Well, it's psychological, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, God, I've got another lap to do. I mean, we've got over in Melksham, we've got a winter circuit, which is like that. You've got to go around at one particular point 4 times. During the summer, it's fine because it's just it's a repeated figure of 8. But yeah.
Sorry. Do you know what it reminds me of? When I was a young soldier, right? When I was fit. And we had to do what were called your basic fitness test. I think it was 1.5 miles as a group, 15 minutes. And I think it to be on by 11 minutes, 30 or something like that on your own, right? But the trouble is, where we were in Germany, we would start running, right? And then you come up, and then there was a long road to the barracks with a gate, right? And you could see it, right? Heading for it. You could see it a long distance away, and it was a killer. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it felt as though it was never getting nearer, right? But I never ever failed it. And I was this just shows you how cruel I am. I never ever failed it, right? So I was in the physical training instructor was shouting out, "You've got a minute left." And you could see all the guys trying to make a run for it. And then one of my friends was near the end. And he said to me, shut the gate. And I shut the gate. And my own friend had his hands hanging onto it, right?
Yeah.
And then he fell on the ground, and I said, same again tomorrow. Her Majesty likes fit troops. And that's typical army humour. Oh, he was furious.
Oh dear.
The Queen, God bless her, needed fit troops.
Yeah, totally, and a fit population as well. That's why I love Park Run, because you actually get hundreds. Well, in the UK alone, over 200,000 people every Saturday, all out exercising. And it might be the only exercise they get during the week. Some of them, they go out every day and they do thousands of miles. Whereas some people just go out just at the weekend.
What's happened to me is I went from a 32 waist, 32, 33, I went up to 34.
I've got a question for you, Peter, because the first thing that popped into my mind at the moment, because we've both got diabetes.
Yeah.
How can you put weight on when you've got diabetes?
Because here's why, right?
Okay.
I've had it since 1992. Let me tell you what it is. Complacency. Right? Now, you're at an age and a stage that it'll rule your life for a while. You're probably a bit scared. You want to get it right.
Oh, yeah.
I've had it since 1992, and I've been on a keto, low-carb diet for years. I was a bit stressed out in the summer there. Yeah. So what did I see? A big M on the road.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
And I was that hungry. I went in and had a McDonald's.
Yeah.
And it hit me for 6. And I stopped cycling because I was singing. I'm just too tired now. It's all caught up. I'm too tired to do the cycling and the singing because I'm exhausted.
Okay.
The 3-hour gig, you'll know about it. And parking. So that's what it is. However, my guys were working the job yesterday and I phoned them up. I said, would you like any sausage rolls? I went on, yeah, please. And a bottle of juice and that. So I went into Greg's.
Yeah.
And I see all those pies and sausage rolls. Guess what I done?
You had one yourself?
No.
No?
A few weeks ago, I would have taken one, right? So what I've done is, I bought a black coffee, and then I went and got some ham, and bits of ham, and then I got some guacamole, right? And I checked the carbohydrate content. I said I'll only eat half of that. And I ate all the ham, which there was no carbohydrates.
That's right. Yeah.
As soon as I ate that, I felt better. But I'd been not such a bad boy with it. I got an app from Greg's. And you build up points.
Right. Okay.
And do you know what they sent me yesterday?
A voucher?
No, they said, we're missing you, Peter. And they're trying to entice me with a free pastry and everything. And this is the hold that people get in you, the free app, you know.
Loyalty cards.
So what I've done is I've really had to knuckle down again and just think of my health. Right. I'm taking my sugar level more now. Do you take your sugar level?
Yeah, twice a day.
Yeah. So my friend, my fellow singer, he's ill at the moment because he's got kidney problems now because of diabetes, right? And he got a machine for the first time. He says, I've been 8 for 2 days. But he's lying ill just now and it's 11. So what can happen is when you're feeling ill, it affects your sugar level. Do you know about that yet?
Not personally, but I've done it, well, not personally. Let's leave it to that.
So one other thing is, or last thing I'll mention, well, second last maybe. There's do you know about the morning phenomenon?
Remind me, Peter.
Right. So if you get up in the morning, right?
Yeah.
You're having, the last time you eat is maybe 6 at night. Okay.
Yeah.
And you go up in the morning and you take your sugar level, guess what?
It's gone up.
It's gone up. Do you know why?
It could be different circumstances. What's your opinion on it?
Well, I've been looking at doctor. What it is, your body naturally says during the night, I don't have enough sugar in my system.
Right.
So it goes to it goes to its own internal freezer or fridge.
Yeah.
And it produces sugar for you, right?
Yeah.
So that's why your sugar, don't take your sugar level first thing in the morning, because it's not accurate as such. Until you do exercise and then have something to eat.
Yeah.
And then take it 2 hours after you've eaten. And that's what I find. And when I meet anybody with diabetes for the first time, do you know what I say to them?
Take it seriously.
Take it serious. Take it serious.
Yeah.
You know? And that's what I say. But I've had it so long that, to answer your question, just to finish, is I got so fed up on my lifestyle with it.
Yeah.
I'll
come back. Come back to that in a minute. A friend we've not seen for a while. Guess who's back? We can just see your name, Corinda. Welcome back, Corinda. And miss you all. We missed you too. I tried to contact you, but I saw you weren't active on Facebook. Wow. Okay. Yeah, I got that. I mean, basically, I take my readings at before lunch and before evening meal and regularly. But I took it on Sunday, and you got 3 colors, yeah? Green, yellow, and red.
Mm-hmm.
I got my first ever red. It went down, and I couldn't understand why. It went down to 3.6. And panic set in. I thought, bloody hell, what have I done? What's happened? And so I went and got a glucose drink, drank that. I got some dextrose tablets and had 4 of those. Yeah. And within 30 minutes, I had it back up to 6.4, and I was sane again. But it's just, and I messaged the doctor or my nurse at the doctors and said, okay, why have I got a 3.6? And I've got a meeting on Monday, so it's obviously not too urgent because my meeting takes place next Monday. But it's just a shock of your life.
Yeah, the reason I don't want to go on insulin is because it affects your driving license, and they'll give you and they check for hypos.
Oh yeah.
And but here's a fact that people don't know: if you are a serving policeman and you get diabetes, you can't get kicked out anymore. They've got to keep you in. You may get different views. Did you know you can actually fly an airplane with diabetes type 1 now on insulin? You can drive a heavy goods lorry before you are finished. You are finished. Surgeons have got type 1. Even he's probably out the army now, but did you get the magazine from Diabetes UK yet?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
There was a story, it shocked me. There was a guy, a paratrooper. He actually trained people skydiving, but he wasn't allowed to do a tandem. And yet even boys go offshore now with type 1. So it's not as bad as you think. So you really got to keep yourself up to date what you can do. And there can be no discrimination against you because you're now covered under the, what do you call it? Disability Act.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it really has changed. But I would pray for a cure to diabetes.
One that could keep your blood sugars stable. I mean, and just a minute. So I got questions from Corinda. Corinda's definitely well. What's new on Be Live? New destinations like Instagram. Other than that, the system is very stable. And thanks for just a minute. Take this off. I'll bring this on. Okay, I'll be talking about it this afternoon. Well, I'm actually doing a broadcast today with Be Live multi-streaming via OneStream Live. So I'm actually work for both of them. So it's going to be quite an interesting broadcast. Right. Then Corinda, Has John got a green screen now? John has got a green screen, but it's not where it could be.
Mark, there isn't enough room to put it up behind me. There's a wall behind me.
Prop it up against the wall. Corinda again, and then we're catching up to date. Yeah, and
I think, is that the diabetes you mean, Corinda?
Yeah. So there we have it. Okay, so just formal advertisement, just a second. Live today at 10 a.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. in the UK, on the OneStream Live YouTube channel. And I'm talking about using BeLive to multi-stream via OneStream Live and go to your website and go to live web pages. And it's all very interesting. There's no view of OneStream if you've not met it. There's no view of BeLive, and then BeLive connecting to OneStream, and then a live broadcast with it all working together. And then I'll show you how we actually run Ask Angelica. Exciting afternoon. Okay, over to Corinda. Yep. He's talking about diabetes, Peter.
Okay, yeah. Well, John, you're the only one that's not diabetic yet. Let's put a spell on you.
I wouldn't diabetic, thank you very much.
No, you don't need it. You don't need it. I mean, the problem I've got is I don't. If I met you, Peter, in real life, yeah, I would have no idea that you've got diabetes.
Yeah.
Because you carry on as normal.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's the problem. It's an invisible situation, isn't it? Yeah. 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 I mean, the problem, from my point of view, I joined some of the Facebook groups.
Yeah.
And I know there are people worse off than me. And I've got, my problem is that I don't feel any different when my sugars go high or when my sugars go low. Yeah, I'm now hyperactive all day. Yeah, my resting heart rate since July has fallen from the 80s down to the 60s. So I'm fit.
Yes, you are. You are. I keep thinking I'm fit, but I'm not, because if I was to stop taking my tablets for high blood pressure, right?
Yeah.
I would soon know about it. And you think you're fit. I hate the fact that I'm on so many tablets. It really cheesy. Has a shout out to people who think they won't get diabetes. And one, keep active. Two, don't be too much overweight. If it runs in your family, be prepared, because it ruins your life. If you haven't got life insurance now, and you're not diabetic and you think you may get it later, get some life insurance. It'll be so much cheaper. Get critical illness as well, because it trebles in price and more, right? Yeah. So that's what I would say. And it affects you for going abroad. It affects, especially on insulin. No, that is a nightmare. That is a nightmare. That's why going abroad with insulin. Have you haven't been abroad yet with insulin, have you?
Well, I've got 2 trips lined up. One to we're going to Germany over Christmas, and we're going to Australia, to Brisbane in February. And I've been looking at the Australian rules and regulations about medications, and they don't point anything out. They just, they've got Medicare over there, which you can sign up for. But I've not heard anything about what it is about insulin, transporting it, or
it's transporting it, because usually it's kept in a fridge or something, Yeah. So you really need to get good advice well before you go, because you just don't realize how bad it is, and it affects. I know people that went to live in Tenerife, but you're a type 1 diabetic. How do you get your insulin? And they would take a load over from Britain to give them the time. But I don't know what people go, and if they live there, I think they have to go into the Spanish medical system and pay for it. But because that's what stopped me moving abroad. What happens? So it's just come, a lot of people on insulin, they've got good care, but you have to pay for it. But it's not as expensive as you think to buy. if we go to Spain, right, and we go to a chemist, we would have to pay for it all, but it seemingly isn't expensive. So I think you're so lucky we've got NHS guys.
I know how. I agree. We are so fortunate that we get our medication. Now we're over a certain age, we get our medications for free, because in the States, right? Okay, diabetes. Does that mean you can't eat sugar or drink any sugar?
Well, I'll explain that to you. Right, if I have a cup of tea, there's nothing in it. I don't even have sweeteners. I have Diet Coke or Diet Zero. By the way, Diet Coke and Coke Zero has been made to taste more like the original Coca-Cola. It's a little fact for you. I checked up on it. And so anything that I eat would probably have natural sugar, right? I don't take bananas because that's the equivalent of 6 teaspoons of sugar. Did you know that one?
I know that, yeah.
Yeah, so I don't take fruit because it's got its natural, or maybe a couple of berries. And it's a case of getting to know all the fruits. Even yogurt has got some sugar in it, natural sugar. So that's the lifestyle. So I'm more a protein eater now, chicken and meat and cheese.
Yeah, I have a slice of cheese regularly now. And also I've found, you know, those little tins of sardines and mackerel and whatever.
Yeah. I
just have one of those if I'm feeling, because your levels go down, you need a bit of energy, so you go for the fish dish. You can't eat anything with sugar. You can't eat carbs because carbs become sugar.
Correct.
So white bread, anything, cakes, all the things that you used to love. Right. I've got one for you. Did you get John's point on this? Breakfast cereal, Kellogg's. No. Breakfast cereals are full of sugar. Yeah, they're bad for you. It's the bad way to start the day.
Doesn't affect me because I don't eat breakfast cereals.
Do you eat breakfast?
No.
Okay.
I don't take any tablets whatsoever, and I don't eat breakfast. I do not watch sugar intake or anything like that, and I'm all right.
Good.
But next week I might not be, so who knows?
I mean, sorry, hang on this subject. The biggest surprise I got, Stephen, that you became a diabetic. That shocked me.
Well, I don't know. I don't know how long I've been a diabetic. It took the park run saved my life, because if I hadn't collapsed at the park run, where you've got medics in attendance, I would have been out on the road somewhere and just collapsed, and that would have been, well, I'm just happy to be here. Let's just put it that way. But I've had it for years. I've got to say, the tracking back, I've had it for years.
Really?
Oh yeah. We tracked it back. Angelica can track it back to, she thinks, when we were in Berlin, which is going back 5-6 years now. So just undiagnosed, because I never went to the doctors.
But what was your symptoms? Were you tired? Were you grumpy?
I'm a lot more energetic now than I was before I got diagnosed, because my sugar levels my sugar level was 102. And when I said my sugar level was 102, you said, "No way, Jose, I don't recognize that number," because our scale goes up to 16. Mine was at 102. And when I left hospital, it was down at 24. Now it's averaging about 9.5. But I had it. I know I had it. Well, I didn't know I had it. That's the problem. Yeah. But I feel a lot fitter now that the sugars are under control.
Yeah, well, I feel okay. Corinda's asking if you have a takeaway. Corinda, if you're diabetic, you more or less have got to forget about these things. Rice is a big one amongst Asians. I know you're kind of Asian type person, and the rice has got a big problem with it. And they've got a certain way of cooking it now to take out the starches, actually. You should look into that. So if you were to end up in a KFC, what you should do is have the chicken only, right?
Yeah.
No chips with it, right? And just eat. That's a low. Look at the carb rates. Chicken's not bad. It's the covering. It's the problem. And I'm afraid I'm back looking at these things. And once you get to know it better, it takes a bit of discipline. I mean, a Friday, Saturday, sometimes I go to me and my friend, and it's not fish and chips, but steak and chips.
Mm-hmm.
I say, don't give me chips, give me a side salad. You
know?
Yeah. Life gets a bit boring with it. In the minute, it's like an alcoholic having his first drink again or her first drink again.
Yeah.
It's a road to a rocky road.
Well, our experience is we're only into this since July 29th, but we've changed our lifestyle.
Yeah.
We now have a very healthy breakfast with yogurt and berries and nuts and all sorts. Sandwich for lunch, and then an evening meal. Now the evening meal's totally changed because we look at the recipe books and we actually make something. Yeah. So takeaway, as a diabetic, you've got it, as Peter said, you've got to pick and choose. You're being your own worst enemy, really, if you try and ignore it.
Yeah.
And does salt play any part in this?
Well, in my I better take this, guys.
Okay. Well, I mean, there's natural salt everywhere, so you can't sort of take yourself off salt. But I never have had extra salt on a meal. I mean, the salt and pepper shakers, I don't use them. What are your thoughts?
I was simply asking that because I quite like a salt on my potatoes, but apart from that, I don't take any salt.
Right. Yeah. It's a whole new world. I mean, I carry these around with me. Yeah. So let's get this is the right way up. Glucose tablets. That's the thing is
about the rate going up. We don't think about it going down and then you needing to do something like you talked about earlier.
Well, yeah, I mean,
doesn't have any experience, thinks it's always an overload of sugar.
No. Basically, you obviously, I now know you can be too good. Basically, the evening before it was 5.8, then the morning was 3. And lunchtime was 3.6, and I panicked, as you would. So I had the glucose drink, I had some tablets, and it went back up to 6.4. So I know how to manage the highs, because if I drink cider vinegar, that brings the high down. Yeah, so that's not a problem. The lows, I just didn't expect to see them. Yeah, I mean, the nurse said, keep it between 7 and 9. Okay. Now, normal is between 4 and 5. So 7 and 9 is still high, but it's, if you can manage at that level, you're going to be okay. The problem is, though, but I'm glad Peter's just said he was diagnosed in 92, that you can have all sorts of problems if you don't look after yourself. Yeah. I mean, I read, as I said, the groups, and people have got, I'm just fortunate in this, I do not have an underlying health issue. In other words, apart from diabetes, I'm for a 70-year-old, I'm doing good. So that's why I don't know when I've got high sugars, low sugars. It just doesn't affect me at all, because we've changed breakfast and we now have a savory breakfast every morning. I'm full of beans all day long, from getting up at 7:45 to going to bed at 11 o'clock. I'm full of beans. I don't have if I have a low period, I just have a tin of sardines. So my life has changed. I've seen people having blue chew in their drink. What's that? Any ideas, John?
No idea whatsoever. Never seen it in my life.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything you can put in a drink. Right. Okay, I went for my bionic check.
Okay, blue chew is a thing, not a blue chew. Yeah.
I think.
You in a drink is to do with body parts performing. Shall we leave it at that?
Thank you. Right. Okay. Right.
Erectile dysfunction.
So I went for my checkup this week for my bionic device, and to learn more about it, I went to Angelica kindly took me to Bristol, and we had a look around Bristol before the appointment, and it was just a consultant and an assistant, and I just had to lie down, and they checked that the device is working properly and that I'm working properly, and we both passed with flying colours. I learned that whenever I have my mobile phone on, which is charging at the moment, whenever I have my mobile phone on, it is on. Oh, it will be in a second. I'm sending signals back to Bristol, wherever I am. If me and the phone are switched on, then signals go back to Bristol, and they are monitoring what's happening to my heart 24/7, which is reassuring. And if anything happens untoward, then I will get a phone call, and Angelica will get a phone call too. So I don't have to worry. Yeah, I mean, I don't have to do anything. Don't do anything stupid. Don't try and run at 7 miles an hour. Don't attempt a marathon. But I'm okay to do a 5K. So I'm being monitored. Yeah, it's like Bionic Man. Yeah, my every movement is monitored. Fortunately, they don't have GPS. Well, they said I think they have GPS. That could be interesting, couldn't it? So Grenda's question is when
I'm on its way to you before the 999 call then.
Oh yeah. I mean, basically, there's a computer program running, and it just is monitored. I send a signal. It says, okay, is that a good signal or a bad signal? If it's a bad signal, warn the consultant, send out the message. So it's all automated. When am I next on Amazon? Hopefully this afternoon, Corinda, 5 o'clock. And the next comment. Oh, right. Have I missed one? Right, we've done that one, haven't we? I don't know. You know what it means, but I've no idea.
Well, that's according to Mr. Google.
Right. Okay. Okay. We should give us time to talk about GB News.
Oh, aren't they firing everybody or suspending them?
They fired Mr. Fox and they fired Mr. Wotton. Well, they haven't. They suspended them. I mean, no matter which channel it was, you can't go on live television and say, well, you can't, I want for a better term, you can't slag people off. I mean, it's just not done. No matter how few viewers you've got. Sorry, Peter can listen to us now. Good timing, Peter. We're just talking about Mr. Fox and Mr. Wotton.
Yeah. What do you want me to say here?
I don't want you to say anything because it's basically, I just said, whatever television channel you're on, there are basic. You've got to be respectful of people.
Yeah, but have you seen what she's written?
Oh, I'm not saying. Yeah, pot kettle. Yeah.
Now, it can't all be one-sided. The big thing they're on about is laughing at men's suicide. Did you see that clip?
No, I'm not Doug's. I mean, the incident.
Remember what I've always said to you. You've got to judge things from that side and that side. And the government are saying now, oh, let's shut down that channel. Do you know why? Because they've got the biggest ratings going. They beat the BBC and they are doing everything.
Yeah.
If I got a chance to shut my competitor down, I would do it.
Yeah. The thing that basically there, but for the grace of God, go I. In 2015, Mr. Fox was married to Billie Piper, and he was a well-respected actor around the globe, famous in Morse. And then after the divorce, he's changed, hasn't he? Changed totally.
I'm going to tell you a story, a true story, right? I never judge anybody anymore, to be honest, right? So there was a guy in Aberdeen. He brought kids over from Chernobyl. Remember the Chernobyl disaster?
Yeah.
Something went wrong with the money.
Mm-hmm.
And he was vilified. His name was mud. Everything. And it turned out it wasn't true. Okay? Yeah. Now, I was lucky enough, I was singing in a hotel one night, and I met him. He was in the car park. And I said, "Are you Mr. M?" I said his name.
Yeah.
And he went, I could see this look in his face. And he went, "Yes, that's me."
Mm-hmm.
I says, "I'm wanting to apologise to you. You don't have," I says, I had you sorted out as a bad one.
Yeah.
And he goes, "You're the first one that's ever come up and apologised to me." He says, "I really appreciate that." And the papers he used to get a lot of publicity, and the papers wouldn't touch him. But he's no fear of this. He's an alcoholic, or he was an alcoholic, and he goes offshore helping oil rig workers and talks to them about alcohol.
Yeah.
Eventually, the papers let him back in. But his name was mud. And it can say, remember Kevin Spacey?
Yeah.
I had him guilty with what the papers and everything said. Guess what happened?
He was found innocent.
He was found innocent. How much did it cost him, do you think?
Millions.
Millions of pounds.
And his friends.
Yeah. He can look him in the eye, right in the eye, and say, "I was right. I was right." All over. And then, who's the latest one? You've got the darling of the left for ages. Do you know who I'm on about?
Carry on.
What's his name?
Exactly, John. What's his name?
I've no idea who he's
Russell Brand.
Yeah, well done, Peter.
Yeah, well, he asks for what he gets because he's just inconsistent.
Oh, wait a minute. He asked for it to get because he started to speak about certain things, and then they put the plunger in.
Well, we've only got 2 minutes left, and I'd like to talk about two things because I've been pretty silent today.
Yeah.
So, two incidents. Yeah, first one in Lidl, not last night, the night before. So that was Tuesday. I watched some Asian people take 5 boxes of breakfast cereal, take the innards out, put the innards into their shopping bags, and then throw the cardboard outers on the floor behind the till. No attempt to put it in the bin, which was only about 6 feet away from where they did it. They just threw them on the floor. And I see them outside dumped in the car park all the time. And I don't know what it is. And I got nothing against Asian people. My 2 best friends are Asian. Yeah. Why? If you're going to do it, at least put it in the bin.
Yeah.
And the second one is I have decided that Aldi's profits must have been huge and absolutely massive because they've definitely got money to waste. Because in my local store, they're testing cleaning machines. You're going to go, well, wow, what about that? But these are robot cleaning machines. I mean, great big things that drive themselves around the store. And if they come up to a person, they stop and wait for the person to move out the way. And I've got a video, so I'll be putting that on my channel. I couldn't believe it. And apparently, I guess I'm really well with a number of the people in the store. This is the second one that they've trialed, and there's another one coming on trial next week. So, sack the cleaner time or what?
Don't know. I'm going to say, John, it's over to you.
Is it that time? It's 11 o'clock and I've got to go because we've got to be at the hospital at 12:15. So it's goodbye from me, it's goodbye from him, and it's goodbye from Grumpy up in Scotland. And he looks grumpy today as well. Bye.
Thanks.
I don't look grumpy.